I'm just asking, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by grooming?
Parents want to partner with their children's schools, but we do not co-parent with the government.
Grooming does not seem like a word that you want to take on.
Under not even scrutiny, I might say, because these don't even seem like that, like, intensive questions. These are, again, your own tweets. This is your own views. These are your own statements. These are the things that you say, and they're still left up. This is your own, like, feud. If you're like, yes, children are being taught ideology in school, it's not a fucking gotcha to be like, so what is the ideology they're being taught? Like, that shouldn't be like, oh, shit. Oh, they said we were on friendly terrain. What's going on here?
Moms for Liberty is part of the pushback against the diversity and inclusion movement. Moms supports new Florida laws that limit lessons on race and forbid lessons on sexual orientation and gender identity through high school.
We love teachers. My children have had the best teachers.
Super big apology. I didn't notice it. Wanda M, thank you so much for the very generous $4.99 donation. It's very, very kind of you.
I've had the greatest teachers that have influenced and impact me. But there are rogue teachers in America's classrooms right now.
Rogue teachers.
Rogue teachers.
Parents send their children to school to be educated, not indoctrinated into ideology.
What ideology are they being indoctrinated into?
Let's just say.
Seems like something you wouldn't have to collect yourself to answer, right? Seems like, again, if it's the centerpiece of your entire essence, you might have that one just ready on the fly, you know? Not a question I'm sure you were surprised to experience either. Same thing happens to Libs of TikTok too, right? Hi, right, Chick. It's like, so what happens to, let's just say I grant you that some of the stuff you are saying is true, which I don't, but like, let's say I did. What about people who are trans who are just living their lives and are completely happy? What about them? Yeah, they're spreading a lie. What lie are they spreading? Like, I just mean, what business is it of yours for someone who's just, again, just living their life and is also happy at the same time? I'm saying, we live in a country of truth, and we can't tolerate the lie. So, yeah.
Children in America cannot read.
They often dodged questions with talking points.
Wait, sorry, you were asked what ideology are kids being indoctrinated into, and then after pausing for a couple seconds, regrouping, you came back with children can't read? That wasn't the question.
You're being evasive.
21% of Hispanic students are reading on grade level.
You're being evasive. What ideology are the...
Wait, they're still talking about reading levels. No one's on the other side of that. I think everyone would like to see higher levels of proficiency in literacy amongst children. No one's fighting that. Wait, what?
Children being indoctrinated into. What is your fear?
I think parents' fears are realized. They're looking at these books where sexual discussions are happening with their children at younger and younger ages.
Sorry, wait, which is it? It's like children can't read and their literacy levels aren't really good. Here's some statistics. And it's like, wait, no, I'm asking you about what is the dangerous ideology? Well, okay, so 26% of Hispanic children. No. Well, what is exactly the dangerous ideology? What are they being indoctrinated into? Well, I mean, the books, the words in the books, and pictures in the books with the words too.
Tiffany Justice read from sexually explicit books written for older teens, but found in a few lower schools. Most people wouldn't want them in a lower school. But in a tactic of outrage politics, Moms for Liberty takes a kernel of truth and concludes these examples
I still got it from when I was
not
going into
rare
Tim Pool, still on the
mistakes,
desk.
but a plot to sexualize children. Your critics say that you have an anti-gay ideology.
That is false. That is false.
Whoa, slow down, one at a time. Nothing could be false. No.
Nothing could be further from the truth. We have gay members. I think it's an effort to really try to marginalize us as an organization because parents are coming together.
But do you have gay friends? Yeah, you could have added that one, right? Yeah. Oh, I don't hate gay people. I've got a gay friend, well, family member, who I'm not allowed to their home. Don't get invited to Thanksgiving as much. refused to go to their wedding because I said it was an abomination and they were satanic. But we don't talk much.
Across racial lines, across religious lines, across all of these different ways that we see Americans being divided so often.
I want to thank you.
But voters have not come together for Moms for Liberty.
Donald James, thank you very much for being a Serf Times member. The Serf Times is one of my favorite channels. Lance, you do a great job with facts. Oh, thank you. I like facts. Yeah, they don't care about feelings, is what I'm told. Yeah, and I have a lot of feelings.
Last year, Moms endorsed 166 school board candidates. 2/3 were defeated, according to the nonpartisan Brookings Institution.
Now, that could be a lot of things, by the way. I just want to say it's not simply because people are rejecting their kind of fashy shit. It could have a little bit to do with the fact that they are actually literally quoting Adolf Hitler in one of their newsletters, and that one didn't play very well, or the fact that there's been just so many quotes that have come out from them where it's just like, well, that's just pretty much fascism verbatim. But it could also have to do with the numerous amount of scandals and sexual scandals that also plague the institution. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't someone in the org also found to have maybe been a little PDF-y? That's also something that kind of got uncovered. Yeah.
Moms also faces questions about its third co-founder, conservative education activist Bridget Ziegler. She left Moms for Liberty, and now she's being asked to resign from the Sarasota School Board. Last year, she told police she had three-way sex with her husband and a woman. Her husband, Christian Ziegler, had been accused of rape in another incident. Investigators concluded that alleged attack was, quote, likely consensual. But Christian Ziegler was forced out as chair of the Florida Republican Party. We wanted to know about the messages on Mom's X account, which adopts the extremist smear with, if they don't like being called groomers, they should stop trying to groom our kids. What are you trying to say?
Well, I'm going to say that if we'd have to see the exact tweet. Tiffany manages our Twitter account.
So we read more.
I love when that happens because it's like, obviously he's sitting there. They have an iPad. He's going to be able to be like, yeah, so this one, this one, it's still up. I'm actually just accessing the internet. I'm on your Twitter page. So this is the tweet you made. You want to groom our children? We're supposed to give you love?
Exact tweets from their account. This targets a librarian. You want to groom our children and we're supposed to give you love? Again, Justice and Duskovich went to their talking points. I'm just asking, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by grooming?
Parents want to partner with their children's schools, but we do not co-parent with the government.
Grooming does not seem like a word that you want to take on.
You know, we did some polling.
Fucking cowards. It seems like, hey, every day now there are more interviews because apparently some of the biggest bigots in the world, they think that they're already like media trained, or I guess it's the illusion, the confidence, you know, because Libs of TikTok, high right check again, the mediocrity of an individual who has just like spiraled into super fame in amongst their own circles, obviously becoming this titan of being able to spread misinformation and really target LGBTQ plus folk. Same thing with Moms for Liberty. And so it's like, under not even scrutiny, I might say, because these don't even seem like that like intensive questions. These are, again, your own tweets. This is your own views. These are your own statements. These are the things that you say, and they're still left up. This is your own like feud. If you're like, yes, children are being taught ideology in school, it's not a fucking gotcha to be like, so what is the ideology they're being taught? Like that shouldn't be like, oh, shit. Oh, they said we were on friendly terrain. What's going on here?
And we really wanted to know, where are the American people on this issue of parental rights and what's happening in our schools?
Dodging questions like those was not an option back in Beaufort, South Carolina. Critics of the book ban said they knew what groomer meant, and they saw it as a threat to people of color and the LGBTQ community.
Don't do that to these kids. They have the internet. They're going to get to it anyways. What are you doing? You're wasting your time. You're only trying to make people feel bad about themselves. And I am past the time where I'm going to allow anybody to make me feel bad about myself.
Hell yeah.
but it's left and kind of around the curve, and you'll be there.
Ultimately, Buford confronted fear and ignorance with civility and knowledge. The town asked volunteers to actually read the books. In meetings that looked like book clubs, over the course of a year, 146 community volunteers, plus teachers and librarians, discussed, deliberated, and voted. Ruth Naomi James volunteered to judge the books. She works for the schools and has a 16-year-old student.
How many of the 4 books have you reviewed that you felt should not be in the school system?
None.
She's not a mom for liberty, but still a liberty-minded mom.
I'm a combat veteran, right? There's no way I went to Iraq thinking that when I moved back home, I would have to do this to make sure that the freedom that we fight for in this country is taken out of the hands of students and parents.
The final votes came this past December. 5 books were judged too graphic in sex or violence, but 92 returned to the schools. Dick Geyer says this lesson reaches beyond the classroom.
Diversity breeds tolerance. The more you understand what other people think and realize that what they say is important, but who they are, what their story, what their background is, the more you know that, the more you see the power of diversity. And then be kind and be understanding, and don't make judgments because you haven't lived their story. They have.
In the city that's...
I'll agree, diversity super based. That's fantastic. That it was just like, once again, yet another train wreck, yet another example of one of the biggest, organizations filled with bigots, Mums for Liberty, having to go in front of a camera and speak, and then all of a sudden it's just like, blah. There was even some cope after this. Apparently Megyn Kelly was super upset.
In the world is Megyn Kelly, and it's our chance to talk to her right now this Wednesday in Australia. Super Tuesday, her time. Love her to see you, rock star. I think, as you correctly said on your radio show, kind of the least tension ever around.
Is she frozen? Is this glitching?
A Super Tuesday ever.
Yeah. I mean, wah. But there's no mystery to it this year. The mystery's already been solved. We know who the 2 nominees are going to be. And in Nikki Haley's case, it's just a question of when the patient recognizes what the diagnosis really means. It's over for her. And look, we're going to get the election that most people didn't want. And if you're a Republican, that's good news, because even though Trump may not be your first choice, right now he's crushed. And then what happens when the boy gets excited and what comes next? I mean, the most graphic descriptions, the stuff you used to have to look in the back of Penthouse magazine as a 16-year-old boy to find is now.
Again, this is just not true. Yeah, I keep hearing that as the example from the Republicans. Like, this is pornography of the highest. We're not just talking about, like, a biological chart that may show the testicles or something like that. I'm talking about hardcore, penetrative, we're talking pile drivers, sex chairs, golden showers, all of that taking place in this literature. The children, they have to read this, and they're being told they have to read this in order to graduate. It's like none of that is true, though. Like, a lot of the stuff they're trying to ban, a lot of it doesn't even have like hardcore gay pornography in it. It talks about the like lived experience of growing up gay, to try and like make kids feel completely normal if they are gay, because they are, and just to not be like you're evil or sinful or there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's totally okay to be gay. That's like what a lot of the literature actually is. When you see these lists, they have a couple examples. The biggest one that they always have to pull out, of course, is genderqueer, which again is about an asexual individual discovering that person's own asexuality. So again, it's not in any way, shape, or form supposed to be a super hypersexual sex scene for teenagers to read and learn how to perform sex based on reading it. None of that. Again, it's a coming of age story. That seems to be the focus. But every time I hear from like right wingers on this topic, it's like, penthouse hardcore sex
being offered in the school libraries of our littles. And that's the proper story. But 60 Minutes decides the story is about book bans and the evil right-wing extremists
Yes.
who love them. So they
Yes.
bring in this group called Moms for Liberty, which I love. I've spoken to this group right from the beginning. I went down there and tried to help them.
Explains a lot.
And I love the two women who run it, but they're not exactly media savvy when it comes to dealing with an entity like 60 Minutes, which is going to slice and dice them and try to misrepresent them. And you can assume no good faith.
Oh, damn. Conrad Junkie, thank you so much for giving 5 gifted subs to the Serf Times. Hey, 5 of you just got a free gifted sub. Give a big thank you to Conrad Junkie. That's very, very kind of you. Thank you.
On the part of Scott Pelley at 60 Minutes, and unfortunately they appear to have, because the way that piece was cut and aired made the two moms look clueless. And Scott
No, that was the mums. That was the mums. The Mums for Liberty. The fact that they weren't able to explain with very basic questioning what exactly is the origin of their bigotry and why they believe what they believe. Not hard. They were softball questions. It's like, what ideology is being taught to kids? Kids can't read. Literacy levels very, very low right now, and that's a big problem, that children aren't able to have high literacy proficiency. So we feel that just like, no, that was the question. You just said that the kids are being indoctrinated at schools with what's the ideology? What are they being indoctrinated with?
Pelley over and over said they're evasive, they're dodging. And if you look at the way the Q&A went, that's exactly how it looks. The problem is, if you look at the greater context of the interview, they were showing him these books. He just wouldn't put them on TV because they're filthy. You couldn't put them on the.
He did. He showed some of the pages. He showed it opened to the actual page in question. Actually, the really bad one that every right winger seems unable to actually understand. I don't think any of them have read the book. I think that's the other problem. I think they like holding the book and having copies of it so they can go to one of the pages and then be like, look at it. Look at it. What do you think of this? What is this? It's like, yeah. So what's the context? What's happening in the scene? I don't know. Sex, gay sex, homosexual acts.
TV without getting in trouble with the FCC.
Yeah, like IRA chick. That's a blowjob.
And Scott Pelley refuses to acknowledge the problem. He kept trying to say, what ideology are you trying to stop? What are you afraid of? And I would have given anything to be across from Scott Pelley to answer that question in the moment. I'll tell you.
Wait, sorry, you were just saying that they unfortunately were edited out of context and weren't given a chance to speak. That scene was shown almost in full. It was what? Like, they couldn't answer the question. I think that was the problem, because it almost seems like a lot of their bigotry is based in things they don't fully understand. Maybe they haven't like let it cook long enough. They're still working through it, you know, trying to see what parts of it they actually hate. When you have to lay it all out of the table, like Libs of TikTok had to, it's kind of like nation of truth. We believe in truth, and so that's they lie, and we know they lie.
Exactly the ideology that we are trying to fight. Race essentialism, where they're trying to tell young black boys and girls that they're less than from birth thanks to their skin color. Where they're trying to tell the young white boys and girls that they bear the sins of their father over things that happened 240 years ago, that they can do.
What? Again, no. Then none of that is being taught in schools. First off, none of those concepts are even being taught to elementary school. Let's just get that completely clear. There is no CRT in elementary or high school, by the way. Again, if you get into college and university, that might be a later in your term course, second or third year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. People trying to seek advanced law degrees might be learning about critical race theory. But now, apparently, kids are all being taught critical race theory. If you are to learn about things like slavery, the history of slavery, indigenous genocide, that kind of stuff. If that's even suggested to be taught in schools as part of curriculum, well, that's teaching white people that they're evil because it was white people that did the bad things in those stories. And it's like, only if you think that was good, only if you're white and you think slavery was a good thing, would it be a bad thing for you to have to learn about it, I guess, because you don't want to have to face that, I guess. Because you're still kind of okay with it. Again, white supremacists. Only people who would actually think learning about white supremacy and why it's wrong, they're the only persons who would be offended by that. Everyone else, including white people who do not agree with white supremacy, would be like, yeah, we should learn that. That's 100% that should be part of the curriculum. And no, it's none of it is teaching black children that they are lesser than for being black. It's that they shouldn't be ever treated lesser than for being black. It's the lesson, and I would agree with it. Yeah, same would apply to all children, like everybody. You know, the universal rules. Whenever you hear right wingers try and quote Martin Luther King Jr. and they always use the one part from the "I Have a Dream" speech, and they're always like, yeah, but he did say that people should be judged on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Lefties, you know, stop talking about it. Just don't ever bring it up. Listen to Martin Luther King Jr. Yeah, and it's like, yeah, are you gonna finish it? You gonna finish any of the rest of the speech? The problem is that his daughters were. That's the problem. I should say. that's the problem. And then identifying that problem doesn't make the problem suddenly cease to exist. You know, you're gonna do all right.
Do nothing about, and that they'll never be able to escape this so-called original sin. Gender ideology, radical, where they're offering sex changes, the idea of sex changes.
Not true. Lies, categorical lies. All been lies so far. Again, it's this really warped version of the world. I guess if you listen to this all day, though, if you're stuck inside the Sky News / Fox News, just like perpetual Breitbart cycle, yeah, you're going to get real angry and mad and be upset all the time about things that actually do not hurt you. Keep getting you mad about that. Better to be distracted about that than, you know, systems of power, capitalism, structures, any of that kind of stuff. Just stay mad. Stay real mad.
The children, like it's a menu item for lunch, that they can go from pizza to a burger without disclosing anything about how puberty blockers take you directly into cross-sex hormones in 97% of the cases.
I find that deeply offensive, all right? As someone who considers himself a pizza, I don't want to be referred to in these terms. It's not very kind.
And then you're sterile. You're sterile with no
Or wait, am I a burger? Is it? Now I'm confused.
Sexual enjoyment for the rest of your life.
Kind of hungry,
Is that
though.
just a small little thing you want introduced?
Ooh, who among you is a pizza burger? Yeah, that would be fun.
To your third grader without your consent? That happened to me, Scott Pelley. That happened to my boy at my boy's school. It happened to all the boys in his third grade class. That's one of the things that we fear and the ideology that we're fighting. And most of all, what's in these books is the totally inappropriate sexualization of children at a completely inappropriate age. This is not 17-year-old boys trying to read something sexy. This is smut that's being peddled to fifth graders. And you know what it does? And he wants to dismiss the people who say these are groomers who want to put this in front of our kids. It's absolutely disgusting what he said. He said they're conspiracy theorists and they're extreme right-wing hate groups.
I love how mad she is. Yeah. So this is great. By the way, I just want to let you know, same thing with Taylor Renz and Libs of TikTok and now Mums for Liberty, this absolute complete disaster interview. You can tell how angry it's making the right. Because, I don't know if you saw recently, there is, Haya Rychek has obviously been in very far right circles for a very long time. I mean, she basically profits from stochastic terrorism. So she is an extremist and has to hang out with other extremists. A lot of the extremists she hangs out with, white supremacists, neo-Nazis. One of the neo-Nazis, and the very prominent ones, has turned on her because of how he sees her interview with Taylor Renz as a betrayal and has gone extremely, surprise, because he's a Nazi, anti-Semitic with the whole thing. Yeah, like hyper anti-Semitic. And obviously getting very angry at her for being Jewish, now pulling out all of these conspiracy theories and anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I mean, there could be the whole leopards eating their face angle to this. But also, it's like, if you're hanging out with a whole bunch of extremists, they're going to, again, Nazis will do Nazi shit because they're Nazis. In addition to that, this clearly looks terrible for all of you because some of these like massive figures, Mums for Liberty, Libs of TikTok, all of the anti-LGBTQ plus bigots, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. That's the big takeaway from all this. It's like when they're actually questioned, hey, so what do you believe? Why do you hate trans ideology, gender ideology, gay ideology? Why are you going after this? Why do you think that this is a worthy cause? Do you know about all the bomb threats, the death threats, the children's hospitals that get shut down because of what you say? Do you think it's fair to be able to label people who haven't ever abused children in any way as pedophiles and groomers? What do you have to say about that? And they have no answers, because they haven't actually thought any of this through. Like, Taylor Lorenz, again, wasn't being incredibly cruel or trying to get gotchas in that interview. It was just like, I'm going to be completely reasonable. I'm going to take you at face value, honestly. I'm not going to condescend to you. Every single time you ask me a question, I'm going to answer it truthfully right before you, but then I'm going to continue to ask follow-up questions to find out what exactly do you believe. That's really what I'm trying to get at the heart at here. What do you believe, and why do you think it's worthy for you to spend all this time targeting kids, making kids' lives scarier, you know?
Extremist smear who use the term groomers. Absolutely not. You know what a groomer does? The way that term is used today, yes, it does mean in some context somebody who's trying to lower your child's defenses so that he can molest your child. But
yeah, that's what a groomer is. But there's also the new kind, the James Lindsay kind. James Lindsay talks about groomers, and he invented his own version of it. So that's the one I want to use too.
Last week, we talked about the downright embarrassing interview between Taylor Lorenz and Stochastic.
I disagree. I think they thought their stuff through, but they just can't say it outside of the bigot circles openly because it would give up their game. I personally, my read on both the Moms for Liberty absolute disaster of a public appearance and the HARASSMENT one, I think in both examples, these are individuals who, because they have been in safe spaces and echo chambers for so long, they don't actually know how terrible, banal, boring, and bad they are at public speaking. So once put in front of a camera and actually ask questions about their beliefs, they completely crumble. Right? Because they don't actually legitimately have a very logical reason as to why they hate LGBTQ plus people the way they do. Like they know about these memes and some threads and a photo and a book, and I saw the picture of the gay guy in the dog costume at the parade. And what about the kitty litter boxes? And what about the good? This is grooming. The groomers. They're all groomers. Like that's all they have. But when you're like, okay, so what about, say, for example, a trans person who's not harming anyone and is happy? What does any of this have to do with them, right? Like, they don't have an answer to that. They haven't thought about that. They haven't thought in their heads like, oh, I guess, yeah, I am trying to police complete strangers' conduct and existence. I have like that framing of it. You want to police someone else's existence, very existence has not actually entered their brains. They've just been like, but I'm saving the world. I'm saving the kids. I have to stop the groomers, stop the PDF files. I have to stop them all. This is me. This is my calling. That's what they believe. And when you actually try to get them to think about it, so why? Why do you want to, why do you, like, what about this case? What about this example? What about that, right? They have nothing.
Terrorist Chaya Raichik of Libs of TikTok. And to be clear, when I say it was embarrassing, I mean specifically for Chaya Raichik, because she was totally unprepared to answer basic questions about her own worldview, which made her look deeply unserious. But after that, we got another treat, an interview from different anti-LGBTQ culture warriors, Tina Descovich and Tiffany Justice of Moms for Liberty. And once again, we saw the same exact thing that we saw in the Raichik interview, where they were incapable of answering very simple questions about ideas that they espouse on a regular basis. And as a result, both Raichik and Moms for Liberty are currently licking their wounds, and they've spent the last week in complete damage control mode, trying to clean up the PR mess that they made after these interviews showcased their stupidity. So we're going to start with Chaya Raichik first. So I did a full breakdown of how bad that interview was. And some people responded in the comments saying, well, Mike, did we watch the same interview? Because I felt like Chaya Raichik owned Taylor Lorenz. And to that I say, you are wrong, because even Chaya Raichik admitted that she didn't come across very well in that interview. And she says this, of course, after praising herself for being very brave to even face off against Taylor Lorenz in the first place, because Taylor Lorenz, very, very intimidating, very scary, but nonetheless, here's what Chaya Raichik said about that interview.
I think, like, most of the people who are critiquing me would never go do an adversarial interview like that because they're too scared. So I think that it was very brave. But yeah, there were a few moments, like, I know on like the trans stuff, I didn't articulate myself as good as I wanted to, but she's been doing this for so many years. Like, it's designed, she asked questions designed to confuse you, obviously, and to
what? She manipulated me. She asked confusing questions like, why do you believe what you believe? No one can see those coming. No one.
And to get you, what?
This is amazing to me because she was so sure of herself, so confident that she would be able to own and make a fool out of Taylor Lorenz, that she literally showed up wearing a shirt with Taylor Lorenz crying on it. But in the end, she had to admit that she was the one that actually looked pretty fucking stupid. But it wasn't because Taylor Lorenz specifically designed questions to confuse her. But that's what she's claiming. That's what she's actually claiming. Okay, well, let's take a look at some of the questions that Taylor Lorenz asked, followed by Chaya Raichik's response.
What happens to all the people living happy lives as trans people?
Well, first of all, the whole trans it's based on a lie. You can't change your gender.
Okay, but
so they could go live their life. I mean, I can't tell someone what to do in their house.
Sounds like you do want to tell people what to do in their house.
I never said that.
So you're totally okay with people being trans, just not as long as they're in public?
No, I never.
See what she did there? That was mind control. Yes, Professor X'd her. Yeah, she had no power. You can't see it because it's off camera, but right now Taylor Lorenz is doing this thing. Yeah, not fair.
They could. The whole thing is based off of a lie, and I think that this lie cannot be mainstream in our society. It's a lie.
And what harm is it causing, do you believe?
I like the truth.
Trick questions like, what harm is it causing, do you believe? She just has so much experience doing this, and she knows how to manipulate you.
I like truth.
Right, but I'm saying what's the harm of people expressing their gender identity differently than you believe it to be? What harm are they causing?
Like I said, we are a nation of truth.
There it is. That was the one I was referencing.
What harm are trans people?
Like I said, we're a nation of truth, and I seek the truth.
Causing? Well, you know, we're a nation of the truth, and I seek the truth. What? Damn it, Taylor. Why'd you make me look so stupid? Why'd you design that question?
Do you think that Haya has ever considered that she participates in a lie when she sees a passing trans person in public and genders them incorrect unknowingly? I don't know. I mean, that question you could throw to people like Ben Shapiro, right? Ben Shapiro used to have a really hard time forcibly misgendering Blair White. And he had to work on it to be able to incorrectly, say her gender over and over again. That's when he was doing that whole he, she, he thing. And I was like, sorry. It's just, yeah, I mean, she, he, she, he's, Jordan Peterson had a similar problem where he's like, he, her, she's a G, sir. You're not supposed to use one of these pronouns.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Can you please hit the like and subscribe button and maybe leave a comment? It really does help the videos out. But first, the people who produce everything you see before you and make this entire channel possible: Amazing Fletch, Anna Loves Riley, Ariane McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Salim, Multimondi, Omni, Peanut Butter Blondie, Political Puppy, Quiet 185, Rachel K, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Ruby K, Cernicus, Spinach Monster, Stellar Vision, Sebastian DeMel, Trevbot.exe, Words Greenwood, and Travis McClinton. And also, thank you to every other person who helps fund this show. Their names are on the screen right now. It would not be possible without every single one of them. We cannot thank you enough. And if you want to join the Patreon, please come to patreon.com/theserfs and help us exist.